recording.
Welcome to Department Talk Bollocks. Widely inaccurate, probably offensive, definitely pedestrian. My name is Philip.
I'm Christopher Lee.
And I'm Scott.
How are you?
Hey, it's been a while, hasn't it?
Yeah, it has. It's all been your fault.
My fault for moving, yes.
Yeah.
But we're now sat in a very nice new living room with a nice naked bulb in front of us.
Naked.
Put your trousers back on, Phil.
My naked throbbing bulb.
Yes.
Pulsating.
Surrounded by technology and wires.
With wonderful acoustics.
Yes.
So, it is that time once again to trot out the possibly one of the internet's greatest theme tunes ever. It's time for the news desk, people. News desk. It's time for the news desk with sex pest, but not incest, because that's wrong.
Actually, you could do that one again because we've got a nice little drum here to go in the background.
All right, you feel me, though? I'm about to spit my lyrics. I'm about to spit my lyrics, right? News desk, we're the sex pest, but not incest, because that's wrong. And I'm losing it.
Yeah.
I'm off my game, guys. I've got to be honest. You feel me?
I can't even play the fucking drum anyway.
Well, what a pathetic excuse that was.
That was fucking atrocious. I was expecting fucking gold there and one doing shit. People are turning off after 30 seconds. What the fuck's this? News desk.
Well, at least we've got the ball rolling.
So,
the bulb.
So what do we want to start with, people?
Start from this end.
Well, we can start with Walking Dead, the end of season 3.
Oh, no, yeah, go for it. Yeah, we'll start with Walking Dead then.
Yeah, I mean, it's been good. It's been a good ride all along. I'm really pleased that the intensity of the series carried on throughout into the second half of the series. But I thought that the ending was very poor and lacklustre.
I understand totally what you're getting at, because we were all expecting this big war between the prison and Woodbury, you know, the governor versus Rick, and I know, I don't know if there's any discrepancies, because I've never read the comic books, but what I've been reading about the comic books, there's a few little things that they've altered, which not really bother me, because obviously I don't know what it is that's happened.
Yeah.
But I do agree with you, when we got to the point, we were expecting this big massacre, you know, a few people got shot, and it wasn't exactly like many people died, and then all of a sudden the governor turns around and, spoilers for everybody, but decides to gun down half of Woodbury.
Exactly, and the other half of Woodbury end up back in the prison and helping out the main group, you know. But yeah, I just thought after such this huge build-up, this emotional build-up, it ended up being a bit of a cop-out at the end. But I mean, the governor's now exactly as he is in the comic books, that really evil bastard.
True.
So, I mean, whether they'll continue it on in the 4th season or whether they'll give the governor storyline a bit of a break and, you know, maybe move it a little bit more into the comic book territory, because the governor wasn't in the comic books all the time. He did come back in later ones and things like that. So, you know, I mean, it was cracking. It was a brilliant show, but what a piss poor ending that was.
So do you guys feel that they just temporarily drop the ball and normal quality will resume, or do you think that this is like X-Files territory where cancel it now before it gets any worse?
I don't think it's going to be a cancellation.
It's not dropped the ball in anyway, because up until the point that they actually had the final fight off, it was really, really good. It was just a cop-out ending. It was a sort of like, you know, they come up with this cop-out idea of luring them into the prison, setting off a few booby traps, loads of smoke bombs went off, half the governor's team ended up shooting at each other, and no one was in the prison. You know, all the main cast had left, and they just left a couple of people in riot gear hiding behind a couple of tin cans and taking a couple of pot shots at the end, and it just.
So just a bad choice.
It was a bad choice ending. Right. Whether it followed the comic books, I don't know. But
you do have to take into account basically that none of these people are military trained. These are common garden people who've never shot weapons before. You've got to think to yourself basically, if this had been like, you know, military sides, then you'd probably maybe expect a bit more. But maybe because we've been public, it is a bit more realistic, even though we were a bit disappointed.
But was I expecting some maybe going down the dark corridors and you know, taking pot shots at each other and stuff like that, but it just didn't happen. But anyway, it's still a great series. It's still worth watching. It's still worth
we'll
catching
see where
up
it
with.
goes. See where it goes.
Hopefully, it'll pick up and come back for a cracking fourth season. So that's the first one. That's the first story that we've got up.
Scott, you got anything?
Cult. I've just started watching that a few days ago. A new TV series starring. Let me just bring it up in front of me. Does anybody else want to talk?
It has got that chap.
It's Prison Break, but I can't.
I've not.
It's got a chap in it.
I'm back from Prison Break.
And the fella from who was in Heroes as like a carnival barker in the last season.
Stars Matthew Davis, Jessica Lucas, Alona Tal.
Well, basically, Matt Davis's character Jeff, his brother has come across something about a TV series called Cult that's only been running for about a year, but gained such popularity that it's gained a very strong cult following, hence the term cult. But there's something going on behind it which you're not too sure. Basically there is like a hidden cult that is conspiring together to do something, but we don't know what it is yet, and it's absolutely exciting. Robert Nepper, that's it, who plays Billy Grimm, who's the lead in this TV show within the TV show, and it's absolutely fantastic. I'm really looking forward to see where this might go.
That's one I actually want to give a whirl, and it has got great pedigree because it's created by Rockne S. O'Bannon, who created the legend that is Farscape, or it was legendary for me.
No, it was an interesting show, Farscape. I did enjoy it. I'd like to rewatch it these days.
I would,
Just to get back to the old 90s feel again.
That's right, Mother Frella. Before there was Frack, there was Frell.
So at the moment, there's 13 episodes of this cult series out. So
Yes.
Has it been finished? The first series is actually finished now.
If it has, I have no idea because I've literally just started watching the first few episodes.
Right. Okay. I mean, it's saying here there's 13, but it doesn't say whether all 13's been there. Unfortunately, Internet Movie Database is crap. But...
Well, based off normal TV series, anyways, 13 episodes is about average.
Here we go. Next episode is episode 7, so no, it's not finished yet. So
there is going to be 13 episodes.
13, there are going to be 13. We're on episode 7. Yeah, I might give that a go myself, actually. I'll write it down so we remember.
Seems a bit lame how we're talking about it. I was expecting a few jokes and jives. Poke Phil a bit, slag his mum off a bit more.
Well, we do that. We do that in every
We're literally
podcast.
doing it proper.
But she's never going to be able to listen to this.
She's a very nice lady. I've met her.
There we go. Evidence. Evidence. The way you've painted her to be,
this ruthless bitch who just slapped you around as a child. That was the reason why you hid yourself away watching Doctor Who and playing with yourself.
So he does that anyway. I mean,
well, I changed the habit of a lifetime.
Exactly.
So I want to talk about Wolverine.
Oh yeah.
Not to be confused with Batman, but to be you've got Wolverine, Bob, and Batman. You've got Bane.
God.
Don't do it, George.
Out.
This Wolverine is it Wolverine 2 basically?
No.
Is it no?
It's
Wolverine
not.
3.
It's set after. So I think if we recap, there have been 5 X-Men films that have been released cinematically. 1, 2, X-Men 3. Then the X-Men Origins Wolverine, which was supposedly a prequel to the first 3, and specifically told the origins of Wolverine, or at least how he got his adamantium.
I think that's the one that I gave up on about 15 minutes in because it was shit.
Yeah, it wasn't brilliant, and I think it actually boasted quite. I remember the opening sequence was actually released quite early on. For a while they did that. Like I remember they did the opening of Spider-Man 3 and then Wolverine as well. I think like the first 5 minutes or something were available online, and it actually looked quite promising. And then people went to see it, and no, it wasn't. But it still made a bunch of money. And this one is supposed to be restoring. It's a weird one. It's a weird one because it was quite negative the way people felt about the X-Men franchise, but it was still a successful franchise. Everybody was ticking the boxes like this is making us money. Then in between that we had X-Men First Class, which was absolutely brilliant. They got Matthew Vaughn who did Kick-Ass, and did he do Stardust as well? I'm pretty sure he did.
I'm not sure.
And Jane Goldman, Jonathan Ross's wife, co-wrote the screenplay, and it completely blew me away. It was like a period piece, and it sort of cast Magneto in this role as a sort of James Bond type figure, and I loved it. Went back to the origins of the first film. The first film has a scene with Magneto going through a concentration camp as a child, or Eric Lensher, and then with X-Men First Class, it literally picks up with the next scene. It shows you that, and then it picks up with the next scene where you see the lad in an office with Kevin Bacon, who was also a mutant and a Nazi, and experimented on him and kills his mother in front of him. And it was a brilliant movie. So
that's one with James McAvoy.
Yeah. So that's.
I mean, how far has he gone since Shameless?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, he's. I think. I remember when it came out. Didn't get a chance to watch it at the time. Still not a chance to watch it, but it's on the list of want to watch films.
Yeah, I've got it on DVD. We'll have to watch it.
We'll have to watch it at some point.
It's a mighty fine movie, and January Jones is brilliant as Emma Frost and looks lovely as well. And Jason Fleming is in it as Azrael.
Michael Fassbender.
Michael Fassbender plays Magneto, and he's great in it. And Jennifer Lawrence, who has just won. Didn't she win an Oscar? Possibly. For Silver Linings Playbook, she's in it as younger Mystique.
I thought it was Bradley Cooper that won that one, was it?
I don't know. Jennifer Lawrence, anyway, she was certainly nominated for an Oscar.
Right.
And also what was quite cool is she plays Mystique, but Mystique being able to shape change. There's one point where she tries to seduce Magneto, and she says, well, how would you feel if I looked a little bit older? And she actually shape changes into Rebecca Rameen, who played her in the original trilogy. A cameo. And then the other there's another moment in there, which is a Wolverine cameo, where they're going around recruiting mutants, and Magneto and Xavier. They walk into a bar, go Logan, and he tells them fuck off, and they walk out again, and that's all you see of him in the whole movie. But it's just a really nice little cameo. So that's where we are. X-Men kind of has been restored. This new movie, I believe, is based on a very popular run in the comics. I'm not I've not read much X-Men at all, so I'm not really familiar with it. And it's set after the events of X3, so it's got nothing to do with X-Men Origins Wolverine in that it's set in the present day, and it's set after the events of X-Men 3.
Well, the bit that makes me interested in this film is the extensive use of Japan as the location.
Yeah.
Actually, that's what kind of... Because at first I was a bit unsure, because I have seen the Wolverine Origins and all this and the other, and I really was underwhelmed by it and not really that arsed. But I have seen the trailer since, and I've seen a brilliant picture of him walking through a pachinko parlour with one of the cast members. Not really sure if it's the one who's the Japanese actress or the one who's the Chinese actress that's in it, because there is a Chinese actress playing a Japanese character in this as well. But it just looked amazing. I've seen the trailer. I thought it really, I thought it was good. So I am looking forward to it now.
And hopefully that will mean that there will be. Because in my opinion, there are three out of 5 of the X-Men movies are really good. Hopefully, it will be 4 out of 6 will be good.
Right. Well.
Yeah. And then of course,
will it go with the even number that the Star Trek films? Good even, bad odd.
Yeah, possibly. And then the big news, the even bigger X-Men news for me is next year we've got X-Men Days of Future Past coming out. I don't know if you've heard of this.
That sounds like a Moody Blues album.
That is, again, based on a comic book run. Basically, Bryan Singer, director of the first 2, is returning. He produced First Class, but he's actually returning to the director's chair.
Right, okay.
Patrick Stewart, Ian McKellen, going back in time and meeting Halle Berry as Storm, Iceman, Anna Paquin, fresh from a success in True Blood.
I know this sounds silly, but normally I don't find Halle Berry attractive, but I find her attractive as Storm. I don't know what it is about it, but...
do you know what happens to a toad when it's struck by lightning? Same thing as everything else. That was an awful line.
Who the hell Peter Dinklage is going to play? I've got no idea.
It's a dinklage.
Out of Game of Thrones, the dwarf.
Oh right.
On the cast.
Well, I'm sure there's got to be a diminutive statue.
Is this the new Wolverine?
He's going to be playing.
No,
Ant-Man
this is X-Men: Days of Future Past.
Oh right, okay.
Yeah. So here's the list. So we've got so Jennifer Lawrence as Mystique, Hugh Jackman, Peter Dinklage doesn't have a character yet. Nicholas Holt's returning as Beast. James McAvoy, you will be seeing young James McAvoy with old Patrick Stewart, and it will be hopefully a really nice time travel. And from what I've heard from like the script, someone had posted a review, said they read the script, and it's supposed to be possibly one of the biggest comic book movies ever. And I'm really pleased. I'd be really pleased because that's pretty much what started the modern trend of comic book movies. I'd say would be X-Men, and it'd be nice to see it sort of back on top after Avengers, etc. Stealing the limelight. Right. Next.
Anyone caught up with The Hobbit yet?
Yes.
Yes.
No. Why would I want to?
Yeah, well, we know you're not a big fan of, but...
we know I hate Lord of the Rings. I'm the one who despises it the most, fuck the ring, as far as I'm concerned, they can
fuck
die.
What ring?
Exactly. No, the opening scenes of The Hobbit, I've got to start with this basically. I thought to myself, right, I'm looking forward to The Hobbit, because I loved what I saw with the trailer. I was looking for the idea that Guillermo del Toro directing it, but then Peter Jackson taking over, and then going from 2 films to 3 films. We've gone through all this. But as soon as I started watching the film, fucking Elijah Wood walks out of a door, Frodo Baggins, I'm just like, just take a fucking belt and hang yourself, you little fucking hobbit, shut the fuck up and just, get on with the film. And then we get on to Martin Freeman. And then from then on, I loved it. I thought it was brilliant. It had comedy, it had the action, it had drama, it had everything that I wanted to see in the original Lord of the Rings. Even though obviously it was a dark place, and you weren't going to get happiness and enjoyment and a little bit of laughter from Lord of the Rings. But what I wanted to see was what I saw with The Hobbit.
I mean, I must admit the script was cracking. I did enjoy the script. I did enjoy the characters in it. I really hated this new. 72 frames a second?
48 frames per second.
48 frames a second bollocks. It really made the thing look cheap, unfortunately. I mean, in comparison to I know you never watch it, you can't be arsed watching it, but if you watch the Lord of the Rings trilogy, they looked expensive, they looked big, they looked epic, they looked huge. Watch the Hobbits and it just didn't look big, it didn't look expensive, it didn't look huge, it looked like a TV movie. And it ruined the experience a little bit for me.
Am I right in thinking that with this process, you're our film technical guy, it's the same sort of hyper-realism that you get with a documentary? Would you use this kind of thing for, like, if you're filming Fish, or if you were doing a David Attenborough style documentary?
It wouldn't make much difference in the frame rate. The frame rate
whatever it is, whatever the way they film, whatever it's called, what's special about it?
It's just the fact that we're using more frames per second. Not an average in Britain, we use 25 frames per second.
Right.
And that's what we normally use.
So why does it make it look cheap then? I don't get that.
To be fair honest, I have no idea when it comes to that. Basically, I don't have idea what equipment or cameras that they've used. But what I've been told though is usually with a higher frame rate, we see a lot more crisp and a lot more quality in it because our eyes are.
Is it because it's robbed of the veneer of film, the artifice of film, and now you're literally seeing everything you would have seen?
But wasn't Lord of the Rings trilogy done on digital though? I can't remember.
Yeah, when I say film, I mean, I don't know. I'm completely out
all
of
we're
the net.
basically is we're seeing more frames in our eyes per second. And that's to me, that's personally what I saw. That's it.
I mean, I thought it would make it look better. That was the presumption that I made before I went to watch it.
It was supposed to make some of these more action sequences and all that seem a lot more smoother, a lot more better.
Right.
So having read the book, whereabouts has this first film left you? Where you've...
Probably about chapter 2, I would think. I don't think... They've added a lot of stuff in there that's not part of the book, and... Yeah. No, it's not really... It's not following the book as... close as it should be.
All they really needed to do is you sit down in the cinema, imagine, well, I know they don't have curtains anymore, but the curtain opens, the lights go dark, In the middle of the earth, in the land of stone, lives a brave little hobbit who we all admire. With his long wooden pipe, fuzzy woolly toes, he lives in a hobbit and everybody knows him. Bilbo, Bilbo, Bilbo Baggins, only 3 feet tall. Bilbo, Bilbo, Bilbo Baggins, the bravest little hobbit of them all. There we go.
Thank you, Leonard.
That's all we...
I'm not even gonna fucking clap. So.
And then my favourite part of that song is when it all kicks off in the middle eight.
Middle eight.
Right.
Come on.
Right. Well, he fought with the goblins. He battered a troll. He riddled with Gollum. A magic ring he stole. He was chased by wolves, lost in the forest, escaped in a barrel from the Elf King's halls. Oh, Bilbo, Bilbo, Bilbo Baggins.
We really needed the chorus.
The bravest little hobbit of them all.
Oh,
a work of incomparable genius. Like when Howard, halfway through the end credits, when Howard Shore's score has finished playing, that just sort of fades in. Bilbo. Brilliant.
What I'm looking forward to at the moment that's coming out later on, literally the day that we disappear for Spain, is the Evil Dead.
The remake.
Evil Dead, yes.
Yeah.
Now, I know they've changed a lot of the storyline, and they've changed a few bits, but the premise are basically people go into a shack in the middle of the woods, they come across the Book of the Dead, and rise evil. That's all still staying in there.
How much has Sam Raimi got involved in this?
This is what I like about it. You know, I care a lot of these new franchises at the moment. We've got Nightmare on Elm Street, Friday the 13th, which are both Michael Bay's. Nightmare on Elm Street was never Michael Bay, wasn't it? Or was it
Nightmare on Elm Street?
Yeah.
That's Craven.
No, in the remakes.
Oh, I haven't got a fucking
clue.
It's
not a fucking clue.
That's
That's professionalism for you, basically. We don't have a clue. But with Nightmare on Elm...
Who cares?
Nightmare on Elm Street, Halloween, obviously Rob Zombie, and then the Friday the 13th. Because obviously the production companies own the rights, you know, even though Wes Craven wrote it, John Carpenter wrote Halloween, and I can't remember who it was, Steven something that did Friday the 13th. But these were all commercialised, bought by companies, and they own the rights to them.
Right.
Sam, Bruce Campbell, and is it Ted Gaynor?
Yeah.
That's the third one.
Yeah.
They were the ones who scrimped and basically went around asking people, can you give us, you know, a certain amount of money towards
that's why Evil Dead 2, which had more money, was
Yeah.
basically a remake of Evil Dead 1 with just extra bits.
Exactly. So they basically come up with all the money, so they technically own the rights to that. So the new director, who is, I'll have to double check.
It's Fede Alvarez.
That's the one. He's been working. Sam Raimi hasn't completely gone, you know, come fully on board.
Yeah.
I remember in an interview reading either with Sam Raimi and Bruce Campbell, or one or the other, was that basically what they've seen in the snippets of it, they're really quite impressed. And
produced by Bruce Campbell. There you go.
Yeah,
and producer Sam Raimi. So yeah, they've got production.
When he was doing press for Oz, he was on the Mark Kermode and Simon Mayo film program, and they asked him about it, and now he's actually. He gushed about it and said it was brilliant, and said it was interesting, and said it hasn't got the character of Ash in it. I've not, to my shame, I'm afraid I've not actually seen Evil Dead. I'm sorry, but an interesting. But you mention it because in issue 387 of Starburst magazine, which has come out recently, there's speculation about Evil Dead 4. Now we've been here before. And
Evil Dead 4 has been mentioned quite a few
times. Where Raimi has sort of teased people with it, but it's been Raimi has said in an interview recently that it's still something he would consider on the cards. As barking mad as that would be with a reboot.
Regardless, at the end of the day, basically, Ash was the popular character. That was the main reason why Evil Dead became big. Don't get me wrong, there was some gritty horror, you know, basically people wanted to be scared.
Evil Dead 3, Army of Darkness was basically Ash. It was the story of Ash and going back in time.
And, you know, Ash, the character itself, not appearing in the remake, is still a money maker. So if he decides to do it, you know, basically if he can do it on the right budget and still bring in classic cult fans of the film, or maybe reintroduce people through the remake and an Evil Dead 4 to revamp it in a sense that they can bring back Ash into a new film, would be not for me personally. I would quite like that.
What if just a suggestion? What if and this is something that Starburst suggests? What if Ash were to actually show up at the end in a cameo, and it turns out it's not so much a remake, it's a different group of people visiting the same house.
That would be interesting.
Like if he just showed up at the end and then it becomes something completely different. That could really pull.
Well, he's not mentioned in the cast details, so
yeah. Well, that doesn't mean anything.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Have you noticed how since our last podcast I've now got a little bit more savvy? Someone's got my fucking laptop right next to me.
Yeah.
can tap in and find the information on demand.
that, dear listener, is why Andy actually knows what he's talking about.
Yes. It's all a lie, I tell you.
Meanwhile, I've got more and more primitive.
What, that kind of like diary-sized book of notes there?
Yeah, it's my encyclopedia, you know.
So, anyone got anything else?
Yo, we've got fucking tons.
All right.
Yeah. Well, I finally got a chance to watch John Dies at the End.
Yeah, brilliant
what
film.
A bonkers as fuck film it is.
It's like
amazing.
Something you would expect David Cronenberg.
Yeah,
to
it
take
is a
on.
Cronenberg film, isn't it? You know what? It's one of the best films that I've actually seen in a long, long time, and I really want to watch it a second time, just to actually figure out what the fuck's going on. Because as much as I enjoyed it, I understood it. I understood what was going on, but I missed a lot. And I think it was because I was enjoying it so much and enjoying the ride that there was so much information there that passed me by. And I want to watch it a second time. And I certainly want to pause it for about that 10-minute sequence where you just see boobs. It's amazing, isn't it? Mind you saying that, I must admit some of them were quite saggy.
Well, just to give our listeners a bit of an idea of John Dies at the End, it's a new street drug that sends its users across time and dimensions. Has one drawback. Some people return as no longer human. Can two college dropouts save humankind from this silent otherworldly invasion? I think that pretty much sums it up nicely. That.
Do you know what? I don't care about spoiling things for people, but John does not die at the end.
No, he doesn't actually.
It's fucking weird.
You motherfuckers! I've not seen it yet!
See, no, you should have done. It has been 2 months since we did our last podcast and mentioned it. I was actually expecting it right up until the end, and the credits started rolling, and then they had the extra scene. I thought, he's going to die now, and he didn't. So the film should have been called John Doesn't Die at the end.
True.
But actually, then that would have taken away my excitement.
Exactly.
He's going to die!
Well, I think that might be the sound of it, basically. You read the title, you think, yes, I'm waiting for John to die.
Oh, it was a bit of a letdown, really, wasn't it? What a shit ending. No, it was a great film. It really was.
So, are we done with John Dies at the End?
Yeah, there's nothing really much more to say
No,
about
no,
it.
no.
Than, yeah,
No, it's
we
like
recommend it.
It's our recommendation, our review.
I am quite interested in. It's odd with the Marvel movies. I didn't really buy into it in the same way as I have done the DC. I've always been the DC guy. You know, I've always thought Marvel can go fuck itself. But I am quite interested with what is being called Marvel Phase 2. I think it's really interesting the way that they've developed this model, sort of based on the success of the Avengers. Like, so it goes back to Iron Man. Do you remember at the end where the first sort of inkling that this was going to carry on was Sam Jackson appearing at the end?
Yes.
Of
Wait, it wasn't just Sam Jackson though. You've also got what's his face who introduced himself as whatever Shield. What's his name again?
Yeah, it was Nick Fury.
No, not Nick Fury. The other guy who turns up and he says he's from the security homeland of.
Yeah.
When he turns up, you know basically that Shield. You know, obviously the Avengers are going to be coming in.
So this is Phase 2, and they're basically going the round again. The first one we've got coming up is Iron Man 3, which is coming out I think on the 26th of April in this country.
That is, I can't tell you. No, I can't tell you.
May 3rd of May. Oh, your 3rd of May USA. Right. Okay. It's got to be May then. 3rd of May in the USA, so it's got to be after that here.
Right. Okay. I
can't see it being out before it. Can you? Before the USA?
Unless that's what Starburst has been saying.
Right.
But
then we've got, is it Thor 2 then next? After that.
Thor: The Dark World, which will be seen. In fact, I think with the exception of the Avengers 2. All the next phase all features new directors to the franchise. So Ken Branagh's not going to be involved with the next Thor. New director for Captain America. Then it's Captain America: The Winter Soldier. Then this one is slightly off the beaten path, but Guardians of the Galaxy, which is due. Out.
Is that the TV series by Josh Whedon?
No, that's a Shield TV series. Guardians of the Galaxy is due on August 1st, 2014.
Right.
And it features a talking beaver.
Hey.
No, sorry. A raccoon, sorry.
Oh, okay.
Rocket Raccoon, a talking gun-wielding raccoon.
nice
Drax the Destroyer,
beaver.
human who transferred himself into a more powerful body in order to seek revenge on Thanos after he killed his family. Groot, genius sentient tree with a habit of genetically experimenting on humans, and Gamora, the adopted daughter of Thanos, raised to be a weapon and known as the most dangerous woman in the galaxy. So, as you can see, it sounds a little bit more out there.
That sounds very out there.
This all this Marvel stuff going on at the moment. Don't you think it's a little bit of an overkill?
Yeah, possibly, but I suppose it's no different.
How many comic books come out each week?
It's
not really overkill.
I can understand the comic books, but the amount of films.
But it's no different to
anything, really.
Anything, to TV series.
It's like Carry On films 2 a year, wasn't it?
Yeah, and it's something that fans of that, and I wouldn't count myself really as a fan, have been demanding for a while, that there was this more intertextuality between different
universes. Different universes, but different
I suppose
worlds.
we should do a podcast on this and try and get our friend involved, who's a big Marvel fan, who's into Marvel comics. Maybe we should get him involved.
Even though he hasn't really liked any of the Marvel movies.
Yeah, that's very true. Yeah, but it'd be interesting to get his perspective on it.
It's an interesting idea to sort of weave it through, and you think, like, going back to, like, what if Christopher Reeve and Michael Keaton had done a movie? That's the
Superman versus Batman.
It's the kind of thing that people have been talking about for a long time, and now it's finally been delivered because the studio's got its act together. And then, of course, at the moment, Spider-Man is currently owned by Sony, so they've got the rights, and Fantastic Four is Fox, X-Men is Fox, so they can't do it with all superheroes, so there will be conspicuous absences. And then there's going to be a Shield TV series, which at the moment won't have any, apart from the guy who got killed by the Loki Pokey stick.
Who's possibly suggested isn't actually dead. He's going to be in this new TV series created by Joss Whedon. Right. Cody Smulders from How I Met Your Mother. She was Nick Fury's right hand woman. Ah, yes.
Yeah, she might be bobbing back in guest appearances, so there'll be a TV series on the air as well.
So just quickly about this thing with Joss Whedon coming back to do a TV series, because obviously this will be his first TV series since his own TV series, which the last one was that Doll House, which was okay, but it was a bit of a failure, and unfortunately Joss Whedon was seen as a little bit of it's a bit of a failure in the TV industry towards the end, because obviously produced some fantastic series like Buffy and Angel and Firefly, which was unfortunately cancelled.
Yeah, well, he took a deal. He took a deal with.
I was going to say, is it because of this deal with Marvel that
he's got this deal with Marvel?
Back on TV.
I'm not Joss Whedon's biggest defence, but just before the brown coats start jumping up and down and being like, "How dare you say that? He's a failure." I think he was on the Fox network, and he was promised after Firefly with Dollhouse it was going to be different. They were going to take its time and they wouldn't cut it too short, and he managed to get 2 seasons out of them, and then it got shit canned. This one he's writing and directing the pilot, and then he's handing over the reins to his brother Jed Whedon, who wrote on Dollhouse as well, and Dr. Horrible's sing-along blog, I believe.
Dr. Horrible's sing-along blog was brilliant. But just quickly, whilst we're talking about Joss Whedon, we're on about basically what he's been working on, what he's going to be working on. Much ado about nothing.
Seriously,
as much as I'm going to bring it up, basically, I don't mind my Shakespeare. Basically, I quite enjoy it.
Joss
Whedon, out of all the people ever to direct Shakespeare, beyond me was basically when I read it was Joss Whedon, and it wasn't that basically. It's who they're actually bringing back. We've got Alex Denisoff, who played Faith's
Wesley.
From Buffy, then also Angel, and then we've got Amy Acker as well, who was the little geek.
Fred, and then latterly Illyria.
Yeah, in that, and so we've got two of the big Buffy and Angels. Well, I won't call them big, but supporting stars that have been in quite a long time, playing the two leads.
Oh, that's bonkers, isn't it?
So yeah, I don't know how this is going to come out, but I'm going to give it a try.
I knew it's one of his greatest comedies.
So is that going to be a movie? Or?
Yeah, it's a movie. It's already released.
Seriously,
according to IMDb, it's got a 6.8 rating already, which is mediocre. It's nothing to be saying. Oh, you need to be watching this, but something that you think to yourself, you know what? I've got an hour and 47 minutes to kill.
And
a modern retelling of Shakespeare's classic comedy about two pair of lovers with different take on romance and a way with words. Well, that's Josh Whedon in the shell, isn't it?
Yeah.
Really.
The last thing to say about the Marvel Universe movies is that Phase 3 is already set into motion. Potentially, there might be a Hulk movie. After he was so successful in Avengers Assemble, everyone loved him again. But the one that has been confirmed is Edgar Wright of Shaun of the Dead fame is going to be directing Ant-Man.
Oh dear.
Which will be slightly quirky and off the wall and offbeat. And didn't he also do
possibly
Scott Pilgrim?
cheap as well?
Yeah, he did Scott Pilgrim.
With
Scott Pilgrim is the film that will say to myself, basically, I would trust Edgar Wright.
Yeah, I have a feeling it will be a breakout hit, and it will be.
Do you reckon they're going to make it on the cheap though? Because it's not something that I can imagine them shoving big bucks into.
I imagine they'll sell it on it being a comedy. I imagine they'll get. I'm not saying they'll get, but I imagine they'll get a Simon Pegg and they'll sell it on its more comedic aspects or whatever.
Oh yeah, I'll just bring my mates into it. We'll get Simon Pegg to play.
Simon Pegg. We'll
get Nick in.
Nick in. Yeah. What'll be interesting is if Ant-Man makes it into Avengers 3. That's when things get.
Very much
no cast has been selected.
And then the obvious thing to say is, with all of this Marvel business going on, is Justice League over in the DC verse.
Yeah. We've heard bits and bobs. It's been on and off for ages, Justice League. I know, like you were saying about Man of Steel a while back. Is this a possibility to start it off? Who knows?
The problem is though with Justice League, sorry, is at this moment in time they've got the different franchises going on. Obviously, they've got same guy.
You've got Superman.
You've got the Superman franchise. You have the Batman franchise, which is obviously finished right
Green
now.
Lantern.
And the Green Lantern franchise. And I know that similar people have got involved with all of them, so it's a possibility that it could happen. But at the same time, I know that they're trying to move the films in different directions. So whether they're going to bring it together to create this thing is something that I'm not really 100% sure about.
The Latino review, which is he's quite good. He broke quite a few exclusives. I think he broke the Heath Ledger news before anyone else. So far, he's the only person to have reported it. But apparently, Chris Nolan has been handed the reins for all the DC.
Right. He had a hand in Superman.
Yeah.
As well as he did, obviously.
And it looks, so potentially it could be him overseeing. But I guess it depends on how well Man of Steel does this summer. I have a feeling it'll do quite well.
I think it'll do.
And I think he'll be the tentpole. Now, Christian Bale has said, was very specific in what he said. He said he was done with Batman as long as Chris Nolan was done with it.
Right.
And he said that if Chris had ever got a good story, then he would consider coming back. So there is the thought that maybe
I would prefer an individual though, rather than the Justice League personally.
Yeah, I mean,
if there was to be,
but I also in a world where there's 3 Iron Man movies and an Avengers movie, I would be quite happy to see him have his own independent movies. I mean, I'm sure there will be a Superman put straight into production, and I'm sure that if Justice League was successful, Batman will get his own franchise again. We'll just have to see how it goes. But I imagine there's got to be a lot of executives sitting over there at Warner Brothers being like, we want one of those.
Yeah.
I think, even though he said he ruled himself out of it unless it's a very good script, Ryan Reynolds, as naff as the movie was, he's a bankable star, he's likeable, and he makes a very good Hal Jordan.
Stated with Empire, unless a decent director and writer was brought on board, would he be interesting? I've just been looking up on IMDb, and they've already got it listed. They've already got themselves what looks to be a writer already in place. He did the Gangster Squad, which I'm actually looking forward to. I know a lot of people said they don't want to watch it, but I like those type of films. And is responsible for a lot of episodes of Castle, which I'm a real big fan of.
See, I've never watched that. I don't know what that's about.
A TV series about a writer who ends up consulting for a policing agency after after the first episode being about people being murdered based off how he wrote his books.
Right.
And then he was brought in, then he starts helping them out regardless.
I'm pretty sure I've read on Batman and Film that he's actually been dropped in his script.
Oh.
Well, IMDb, if you're listening to this, update your site now, you twats.
And so last thing to say on that really is Henry Cavill, Christian Bale, Ryan Reynolds. That's what 3 stars I want to see in the Justice League.
I can't imagine Christian Bale getting along with Ryan Reynolds. I know he's a little fuckwit, as he is basically. Back in the days of American Psycho, now he is American Psycho.
Yeah.
Even though he's from Wales.
Has anyone heard the Terminator Salvation rant?
No.
Yeah, we have.
Where he's on the set of, and he stays. And what I love is he stays in character. In fact, David Morrissey was talking about working on The Walking Dead and how he keeps the accent.
Yeah.
And he pointed to Christian Bale, saying that you've all heard the Christian Bale rant. Notice that he actually keeps his. He keeps his American accent. He keeps his John Connor voice while he's actually ranting at this guy working on the crew. And in fact, I think I've just been able to pull up the full transcript of the famous rant. So if you guys want to just waffle for a second.
Yeah, I can waffle about crappy Primeval.
Right, what we got?
Why the fuck is Primeval still on TV? Does anybody fucking watch that show?
As far as I'm aware, the British Primeval has ended.
Yeah, now the American one
and we've
started.
got Primeval, The New World.
I mean,
and I started watching it.
Or Primeval, who cares?
Yeah, that's what it should be called. Because at the end of the day, basically, we've got not Phil Potts. His last name's Potts, isn't it? Though.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Connor. It's Connor. That's his name.
Right.
Connor.
Okay.
And he appears in the pilot episode. I remember basically like, you need to stay away from these mystical, portals. And you just think, shut the fuck up. The Americans have seen the British series. We know what the fuck they are. But if not, they need to get onto the British version.
The question I've got is, does anyone actually watch this show? I mean, seriously.
I've watched a fair few episodes.
It got really good viewing figures, and lots of kids like it, you old fart. It's a fun kids series.
The only decent thing about Primeval was the first series, because the Hannah, whatever her bleeding name is, was in the knickers half the time.
Oh, that was true,
Yeah, that was the only decent thing about it.
I just don't understand how they transferred it to the Americans and then started it as though it had never actually been on before, They literally, if you watch the pilot episode, they do introduce Connor, and it's as though basically the Americans have no idea of the British TV series, and Primeval, The New World is are you kidding me?
That's what you expect. That's the same what they did with the being human and.
Anyway, you asked us to waffle while you were bringing up, so we waffled.
Am I gonna walk around and rip your fucking lights down in the middle of a scene? Then why the fuck are you walking right through? Aha, da, like this in the background. What the fuck is it with you? Why don't you fucking understand? You got any fucking idea? Hey, it's fucking distracting having somebody walking up behind Bruce in the middle of the fucking scene. Give me a fucking answer. Why don't you get about it?
I think we're going to have to add a parental advisory thing on this podcast, I reckon.
And to apologise for all the popping in there.
Yeah, because this is the podcast where you've introduced a feature called Wank of the Week.
Yeah, but that's not swearing.
Right, well, we've got
I haven't actually got one this time because I can't think of a Wank of the Week. Actually, no, I tell a lie. I've actually thought of a Wank of the Week, strangely enough. I watched Waters of Mars recently. And you know the Asian girl that's
Bloody hell!
What's her name? I don't know what her name.
But you're very consistent. Yes, I know who you mean. Yeah.
What's her name?
I can't tell you off the top of my head.
Well, I'll bring it up now.
Oh, yeah,
Waters of Mars. Right, here we go. Waters of Mars.
And she also played a dominatrix in Secret Diary of a Call Girl with
Gemma Chan.
Billy Piper as well.
Yeah. And just brought up a picture of her. Oh, is that nice?
You're forgetting this is an audio medium.
Well, I don't care whether it's an audio medium. People can bring up pictures of her on their own home computers and have a wank of the week of their own.
Lovely.
Yes. So I've done wank of the week, and I wasn't even planning on doing wank of the week. It was only because you mentioned it.
So what else you got?
Right, okay. we didn't mention it last time. Well, we mentioned Skyfall last time, and I've been looking forward to watching
When
it.
the sky
And having seen
falls.
Skyfall since, wow, what a fucking amazing Bond film that is. I actually really enjoyed it. I thought Skyfall was fantastic. I mean, it really took it back to the roots, and it was as close as possible to my all-time favourite Bond film, which is From Russia with Love. And it was quite close to that film in the stakes of being the great Bond films of all time. I really did enjoy it thoroughly. So, I mean, I don't know whether you guys agree with me or not.
I
It really did look to the past a lot more than most. And Scott's trying to bring up a point, but obviously his gob's full of chocolates.
Eating cream egg splat?
Yeah.
Yes.
Really
you eat your splat.
No, Skyfall. The one bit that I used to love about Bond was the fact that basically people always used to question, you know, we've got Sean Connery, we've got George Lazenby, we've got Roger Moore, Timothy Dalton, Pierce Brosnan, Daniel Craig, and it was that suggestion that James Bond, is actually an alias. That's what I always used to like. And then in Skyfall, as much as I love the film, I thought it was brilliant, fantastic. Why did you have to add that little bit about the roots, suggesting that he is James Bond and that basically he was born James Bond, he wasn't, you know, codename James Bond? No.
That's been in there before.
Has it?
Yeah,
Which one?
Brosnan, GoldenEye.
Yeah, I know that, but this movie now resets. Well, it doesn't reset it, but it's now. This movie is kind of like saying, "This is where we begin with Doctor No." It's butting up against Doctor No.
Right.
So it's as if they took the Bond franchise back to the beginning, which they did with Casino Royale, because that's when he got his 007 status. But it's now at that point where the series will continue on. You know.
But then what are they going to do when he's too old and they're replacing him?
Stop. I don't think with the Bond film you've got to stop thinking sort of linear. You've just got to think in terms of the character. I think you've got to think of the incumbent Bond.
What would have been
nice? But I love the linearity of this one, because it really does. Really does butt into the films in that way. And it's like saying this is where the series continues.
How hard is it to just suggest basically by putting maybe a document on the paper, they open it up, basically name, you know, blacked out underneath alias James Bond?
I don't want to see that. I don't want to think of it being an alias. I don't want to think every one of them has got their own lives. I want the same. I want it to be.
It has to be James Bond.
Yeah, it has to be James Bond. Like there's a moment where in License to Kill where Felix's wife throws Bond the garter or whatever, he catches it, and she says, you know, the next one who catches this is the one who gets married or whatever, and he walks away wistfully, and then she says, did I say something wrong? And Felix says, he was married once, but it was a long time ago. I want that to be a reference to George Lazenby and Diana Rigg, you know, the same character.
Well, there's a reference to that.
Yeah, well, I don't want it, so that's what I'm saying. I don't want it to be like, well, that's not actually a reference, because that's Timothy Dalton, and Timothy Dalton is a different person who's just assumed the alias.
I think that's just Scott's thoughts.
Yeah.
Because I like James Bond being the...
And did you notice it was changing the subject?
Changing the subject, I want to make one point. You think about it, basically. When was the first James Bond? Was it 62, 60...
62.
62. You know, basically, you're trying to tell me then, you know, he was what? In his 30s, 40s then, we're now in 2013. And
no, you don't. That's what I said. Don't think about it having some kind of linear narrative or chronology. They're just films or whatever. You think about it as it started with Casino Royale for this, you know, for this time, for this generation, and it will, I'm sure, reboot itself again. But you just carry on. The same thing with Judi Dench. Yeah, it doesn't make sense that she was in GoldenEye and she's talking about taking over the role with Brosnan, taking over as the new M with Brosnan, and then later on
that's
she...
what I can accept though. But you've got M, you know, you've got oh fucking, what's her now? Just look, the name's just literally come from her. Judi Dench playing M. And then the role gets passed over to the new M, Ralph Fiennes.
And The Office harks back to the really old look about it, which means to me it's like passing it on to like Vernon Lee and, you know, so on and so forth. So that's the way I'm thinking of it. Linearity is.
But that's where I go with. That's where I come from with Bond, though. That's where I come from with Bond. That passing over.
No, just tell a chuffing good story. In the end, it should be a good spy thriller in its own right, which is what Skiffle was.
Skiffle. Well, at least it's better than me forgetting Judi Dench's names after 2 seconds of him mentioning it. But we'll end it there anyways. But Skyfall was a fantastic film. I did enjoy it. It was brilliant.
Yes, it was.
I bet Devin brought
and Sam Mendes is not going to be returning. Although
no, he did say that he might do one in the future. He did actually say that. Yeah, will.
Barbara Rock, he said, and Barbara Rockley has said we're not done with him yet, and we'll try and get him back for another one.
Yeah,
there's been I've looked there are lots of rumours about Danny Boyle. Danny Boyle has ruled himself out of it. He had a meeting with producers, but that was reported by the tabloid press, and nobody from Bond nor Boyle himself have actually confirmed that. But it looks like
that sounds actually disgusting. A Bond Boyle.
But Bond's Boyle. He wouldn't pull up ladies if he got an unsightly Boyle.
Lance that bugger off.
Yeah, but it doesn't look like he's going to be directing the next one, so it's open. But I think what Sam Mendes did was really good, and I like the fact he comes from this theatrical background, and he comes from a more cerebral place, and he wasn't an action director, and he not only did he do something new, he did the action set pieces really well, although I guess his second unit helped a lot with that, but he also
the action was quite minimal in Skyfall, which again harks back to From Russia with Love, where the action sequences were quite minimal, and a lot of it was about the storytelling and the pushing of the story, and that made that film so much more than what followed in my eyes, because then it started getting too fantastical. Don't get me wrong, I still love the Bond films, but it became a little bit over the top and a little bit too much. But with Skyfall, went back to its roots, and that's the bit that I really enjoyed about it.
Hang on a minute. Weren't you the one that was advocating the man with the gold? It was gushing about the man with the golden gun.
My favourite film is From Russia with Love.
Right,
it's always has been.
Right.
Environmentally friendly Scaramanga.
Yes. Actually, that links onto my next piece, actually, strangely enough. And it's a really sad story, but unfortunately, the horror director, Jess Franco, has died recently. And he worked with Christopher Lee a lot. Did Vampiros Lesbos and Count Dracula. He worked with Christopher Lee on The Blood of Fu Manchu and The Castle of Fu Manchu.
Great films, except you got a British man playing an Asian man always.
But he was 82 when he died, so it was, he was getting on a bit. He had a good life. But yeah, he's just passed away recently. But it's quite a sad time. But there's a link, Christopher Lee, with the man with the golden gun and Jess Franco.
With the golden gun.
So what next? We on to me now. Next piece.
Yep.
Right. So I'm gonna quickly go back to mine, which was Bates Motel.
Ooh. Yeah, I'm kind of a bit iffy about this one.
Really?
It's the.
Have you watched it yet?
No.
Right. It is supposed to be kind of a prequel, but it's set modern day time. When we started watching this, even though probably people are going to say, really, you actually bought that it was going to be actually set in the 60s, because there's probably something about the car or something like that. Even though it looks all vintage classic, even though they might be newer models, from our period, they give it a really lovely 60s feel. To start it off with, you've got Freddie Highmore, who played Charlie Bucket from the Tim Burton version of Charlie and Chocolate Factory. Yeah. Played Norman Bates. And to be fairly honest, I actually see a really nice build to what becomes Norman Bates but so far though there is a lot going on in the town that you think to yourself, really, you've got this really corrupt town that
Twin Peaksy,
yes.
Right.
But you've got Norman Bates, who comes in basically normal, all the girls like him, but then all of a sudden his mum gets raped, he beats the guy around the head, she stabs him, and she says, right, we're not going to tell the cops, we want to start a new life, we're going to bury the body. And that's when he starts, from that moment, starts breaking slowly. And I think it's really nice how they've managed to kind of build this prequel with it, and if they go well with it, I'd like to see more of it, but I'm up to episode, I think it's 2 or 3 that's just been released.
Mother's still alive at the moment?
Mother's still alive, yeah, and that's what I'm waiting for.
She's not the dead body in the rocking chair yet.
Is it going to be like end of season 1? He, dies and then basically stuffs her. But we've got those little references to taxidermy and things like that you think, yes, you know what it's going to become.
Thing is though, will I watch this and just keep thinking about Charlie Bucket?
Not really, because it took me a while to figure out where I'd seen him before.
Or is it because he's got a bit older?
He's obviously, 11-year-old kid was he? Well, no, he can't be 11 because it's 7 years ago since Challenge Chocolate Factory.
Yeah, it was about that. Yeah.
Hell. So yeah, he's a 17-year-old lad now, and he's gained about 2 feet in height, and looks a little bit different.
Well, I trust your judgment, Scott, and it's only because I trust your judgment that I will consider giving it a go, because I personally feel that the original Psycho movie, that is not the book, was a brilliant piece of cinema, and it was engaging, gripping. Norman Bates, one of the all-time greatest film characters, but I've always felt that he should have been left there. That one movie, and I didn't really think he was right for further exploration. And then there was Psycho 2, 3, and 4,
and the remake,
which only added what the one thing it adds is colour and him masturbating when he's peeping on H, and that's it.
One thing that really disappointed me between the original and the shot-for-shot remake, I don't see why they did the shot-for-shot remake, because it was just exactly the same film, just different actors shot exactly the same. But there's one scene when Anthony Perkins basically is peering through the hole, staring at her, basically just stands there staring, and I thought that's creepy. But then you got Vince Vaughn in the remake beating one off, basically, and I just thought, you've lost me there.
Do you know, that reminds me of League of Gentlemen. Do you remember that? Do you remember that second series when Papa, is it Papa his name?
Hello, Dave.
No, not Papa Lazari. It was the Godfather-y type character, and he's rented out the room to that couple. He's got cameras all over the house, and he just sits there in the chair eating some popcorn and just bashing one off while they're having sex on the bed.
But as for the Bates Motel, it's only just recently started. It's got a nice rating already by IMDb's viewers, raters or viewers, whatever you like to class them as. But I quite enjoyed it and thought, it's well worth recommending.
Fair enough. Well, I'll have a check into that. I want to add on about this, whether anyone's actually really that arsed about this, but Zombieland, the new TV series.
They're actually making it into a TV series.
Yeah, they're making it into a TV series. I'm kind of up there and down there at the same time about it, and it's only because the film was great.
Yeah.
But The Walking Dead at this moment in time is so good that do we really want another zombie TV
it's not going to be the Walking Dead gritty drama. It's going to be Walking
Dead,
a comedy,
the fast
version. Yeah.
And I'm not really sure whether they can make it.
I don't think that could work. I was looking forward to a second film.